my name is Heather Gordon. I'm a visual artist living in Knightdale, North Carolina. I'm very pleased to be part of Drawn at CAM. And I make drawings and paintings as a matter of course, and I also do installations, performances, video work, a variety of things. I don't know that I decided to become an artist. Was I chosen to be an artist? Do I feel it a calling to be an artist? I know I've tried to avoid being an artist for a long time. It doesn't make sense. I tend to be a rather emotional person, but also quite logical and rational, and it's difficult to deal with both of those ends of the spectrum involved in the same brain. It doesn't make sense to be an artist financially, certainly. So I have tried to avoid it, but what I would say is that my creativity has been unleashed in this particular profession more so than in others, and I have been very creative in whatever profession I've had. So I've been self-employed since I was 27 and I've done a variety of things. I've started a retail, brick-and-mortar retail business that ran for 10 years, and that was very creative work. And I even worked for the IRS and was rather creative in my data processing. So I guess, why did I choose to be an artist? I think my skills were best matched for this profession. And so here I am, being an artist. That's the answer, I think. Oh, no, you don't decide to be an artist. I mean, how do you decide to be an artist? It's like saying you decide to be a lawyer. I don't know. Do people decide to be lawyers? I suppose they do. I mean, I did make a decision to get a degree. That's a difficult question. Did I decide? I don't know that I feel like I decided. Did I decide? I think I maybe made a series of micro decisions that have ended up me being in the position that I'm in today. All of my work starts from drawing. I would likely consider myself a map maker more than anything else. I take information from my life and I use the data sets that I generate from these things like, oh, I don't know, geographic locations, like where I was born, the many places I've lived. There's been 14, 15 locations that I've lived in my lifetime. Those all have addresses and they have mile distances in between, so those can be useful to me. I'm looking for stories and narratives and data, and then I take these small data sets and that try to tell a story about something, and then I use an origami designing program to set those numbers into a folding pattern so that what I end up with is essentially a foldable shape, the directions for a foldable shape, an origami folding diagram, geometric folding diagram, with mountains and valley folds, and all of the lengths of these folds correspond to the data set that I'm trying to tell a story about. So everything starts from looking at data and then drawing. I'd use a program to draw. I use pencil and paper to draw. I've used light to draw. I've used tape to draw. I think when you think about how expansive drawing can be, and turn your mind into, let go of some of the expectations that you might have about what drawing is, how large it is, what it encompasses. Then I think that you'd have to admit, at least I have to admit, that it's that no piece of art I make starts without pencil to paper at some point, which is an act of drawing. So I'd have to say that my art practice, I mean, how does it fit in? I think it's essential to the art practice. I can't share my ideas without drawings. I can't even send in a proposal for a project without drawing it out. I can't plan a large painting without having a drawing already done in some way. I can't talk to a choreographer about an idea I have, or a pathway or some movement that I'd like, without diagramming that out in some way, drawing it out. And then of course then she will then translate my static two-dimensional drawings into what I think of as three-dimensional drawings that move in time with bodies, drawing shapes in space. So, and even if you think about something like tape installations I've done, where you see lots of space taped out that people then can be inside of, all of those are just line after line of tape being laid in perfect straightness as much as I can according to angles that are in the pattern. And when I do those projects, I'm doing them with lots of other people. And there's something quite lovely and beautiful about trying to draw a line, a straight line using tape with another person. If you're trying to do a 20-foot long line in black masking tape, it really does require that you and that other person have a connection between that material that you're holding and the wall, and you're moving together in concert. And I think there's something very basic and simple about coordinating with another person to draw a line, or to coordinate with another person through the act of drawing, either on your own or through someone else, to use a drawing as a way of expressing a set of thoughts or beliefs around a common idea that we're trying to unleash in some way. So drawing is critical. I sketch and draw to get my ideas down. I sketch and draw to create little notes for myself. My walls are typically covered with little notes and little drawings and sketches that I make, and then I move them around on the wall. So it can be just a method of tracking ideas, and then when they're on paper, then I can move them around and group them together. So then it becomes a way of organizing ideas. And some ideas take a long time. Some ideas might be, I might be generating that idea or thoughts around that one similar idea for years. But then suddenly on the wall there might be multiple little sticky notes that all have some little piece of that puzzle, and at some point there will be enough pieces for me to discern the edges of the thing. And of course drawing, I think, is exactly, I think, making art. I think drawing is all about how to understand how things, what the shape of things are. Indeed, I think all of my art is about that. What do things look like? What is the shape of your story? What is the shape of your life? What is the shape of light through the trees? What is the shape of sound? What is the shape of torpor, loss? What's the shape of gratitude, love, toxicity? All sorts of concepts have shapes, and we spend a lot of time walking through our lives in uncertainty, and I find myself tethered to my art practice, and mostly to drawing, to help me make some sense of things that don't seem understandable or comprehensible, but also to define the edges of things, so that I know, oh, this is that and this is that, and there is a strange blending in between, but maybe there isn't. Maybe there is a jagged edge in there, but you don't really notice these things until you're drawing them, or you're writing about them, which is essentially drawing as well, with language. But it helps you define and organize the mess that's in here, so that you can create some sort of external artifact of your journey, your cognitive journey, emotional experience, psychological, philosophical meanderings through your days. It helps for you to get that enough clarity to make a piece, so that you can share that portion of your human experience with other people. Because after all, Without art being on the walls, artists are very silent. And it is the way that our voices are exercised, and we do have some things to say. And drawing is how we say them. We say them in visual ways. And drawing is the most basic. It is the most basic day one skill that we learn. I think even as children, non-artists, I think it is also quite valuable. I have a son, he's 7, and I've been drawing with him since he was able to hold one of those little egg-shaped chalks that they have for kids, for real little kids. So he could hold that in his hand when he was little, and he would make marks. And he would be absolutely enthusiastic about making a mark and seeing that he had made a mark. And there's something about that. There's something about making the mark and then looking back at it. It marks a passage of time. I did it in the past. Now I'm marveling at it in my present. In my future, I may remember this. So it's a marking of time. And for a child, and even for an adult, I think as well, the flow of time can be rather elastic. So drawing can help tether us to a more concrete reality. But also, I think for him, I think there's a feeling of self-empowerment that comes with making a mark and being witness to the fact that you had a thought, you grabbed a tool, and you did a thing. You made a mark in the world on a piece of paper or in some other more, intangible way that as you become an adult, it becomes very difficult to understand if you're making a mark in the world or not. And I think drawing as a very early experience and as a continuing experience for adults can be quite healthy in terms, quite supportive for helping people feel empowered to create the lives that they want to live, their ideal life, whatever that is. And those break down to ideal days, and those days break down to ideal moments. And sometimes the ideal thing to do is to sit and draw.